Now, as we finish the last segment, we were talking about what's coming up with the speaker's race. Of course, it was Peter Sutherland, the UN official, who said that sovereignty is just an illusion. Borders and countries are just an illusion. And of course, we've got a candidate now for speakership, Paul Ryan, who's telling us the same thing, because that's the globalist line. He's telling us that America is an idea. It's not really a physical country. And of course, ideas can be changed very quickly, just like Paul Ryan can change his mind very quickly. We were told he was absolutely not interested in the job of speaker, but they continued to beg him. And as the AP reports, it suggests that the same hardliners who pushed the current speaker, John Boehner, out of Ohio to announce his resignation scared off his heir apparent majority leader, Kevin McCarthy. Do you understand? Now they're going to say those people are going to throw up obstacles to Paul Ryan too. Listen to the language that they use. Hardliners opposed John Boehner. He had an heir apparent because he's been ruling like a king. That's why they threw him out. That kind of imperial rule, the same as Nancy Pelosi, and of course on the issues, they're the same. And I want to show you with this talk about minimum wage, the talk about that we see from Bernie Sanders, I want to talk to you about how they are gaming the working class. This is a bipartisan war on the working class. As we pointed out before, what are they doing to jobs? They're shipping them overseas. They're bringing in workers, importing workers at unlimited numbers. And of course, they're playing all kinds of games, giving you the money with one hand and taking it away with the other. Before we leave this, I just want to go back to this speaker race real briefly, talk about one of the representatives from Kentucky, Massey, who is one of the Republican rebels, they call it. Again, rebels. He said he would consider forcing a vote to push Boehner out of the speaker's chair if Boehner engages in nefarious activity. Would that be something like suspending the elections because your heir that you've chosen to your throne stands up and says he's not going to run? They had two other candidates in the race, and of course, Boehner is saying he's going to stick around to clear the decks, clear the barn, he says, before leaving Congress. Is he going to push through this trade agreement that's going to destroy jobs? And of course, he's on the same page with Nancy Pelosi and many of the Democrat leadership on this. This is what they've been doing, and of course, this is how and why they need to be stopped. And of course, AP goes on to say Republican voters are pushing for action, for change, for confrontation with Obama. And you know what? If the Republican Party cannot throw out Boehner and the false rhinos that are there, they're not going to retain their leadership there in the House. They're going to lose a lot of elections from people who are fed up with him. But let's take a look at what the other side is doing. Let's look at what Bernie Sanders is telling us. Now, he went on Sunday show yesterday, and he told George Stephanopoulos that he was in favor of paid family and medical leave. Now, he said, of course, this is going to require a small increase in the payroll tax. And Stephanopoulos said, well, if you increase the payroll tax, that's going to hit everybody. And Sanders says, yes, it would hit everybody. But when a mom has a baby, she can, in fact, stay home with that baby for 3 months rather than just for 1 week. Think about that. For that little bit of vacation, you're going to take a payroll hit for the rest of your life. And for people who are beyond the age of having children or people who don't plan on having children, they're going to be taxed for their entire working life for that. That is socialism, folks. That's the benefits that they like to sell you. That's how the progressives are really regressive. That's how they give it to you with one hand and take it away with the other. Remember the old song, 16 tons? Load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. That was the game that was being played by the mining companies against the miners. Here's a really large wage, but oh, by the way, you have to buy this from me, and you have to buy that from me, your food, your clothing, your tools, and I'm going to set the price. I'm going to make that pretty high. But of course, we have Democrats like Robert Reich, who is with the Clintons. He's saying, working full-time and living in abject poverty, that's what today's minimum wage will get you. So what is he proposing with this minimum wage? Let me tell you what that really is. It's nothing but quantitative easing for the working class. It is nothing but paper prosperity. It's not going to make anybody richer. And if you look at what they're doing with the revelation of Obamacare mandates, what they're putting out here with the increase that they're going to come out of is a very regressive tax, just like Social Security. We have a situation here where they are now charging you $325 or 2% of your income if you don't get Obamacare. Now, what does that mean? That means that you're going to pay 2% of your income, not the $300. That's what they always like to talk about. It's going to be 2% of your income if you are making $16,000 or more. Anybody that pays less will pay a higher percentage. Now, as they go up on this, they're going to go up to $695 or 2.5% of taxable income. Let's look at what this is. At the current minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, that means that somebody who makes $14,500 a year is going to wind up paying 5% penalty if they don't have Obamacare. People who make more than $27,800 will pay 2.5%, and anybody going all the way up, you'll pay 2.5%. But the poor will pay far more than that. Somebody on minimum wage will pay double that. So again, understand that this is a bipartisan war against the working poor. Charging you 2.5% for these Obamacare mandates if you don't get the even more expensive insurance, but if you make minimum wage, it's going to be 5%. Now, these mandates are coming from big corporations like Walmart that have devastated small business, and this is one of the ways they do it. John Bound has this report.
Walmart, the made-in-China fueled small American business killing plague, is finally feeling the symptoms of its part in destroying the U.S. economy. Forbes reported, Walmart recently announced that it was raising its minimum starting wage to $9 an hour, 24% higher than the federal minimum. Since Walmart is famous for its ruthless cost management, this appeared on its face to be a significant sign of a tightening labor market. Walmart wasn't offering higher wages because the labor market was streamlining. The Walton family raised the minimum wage to $9 an hour due to the liberal socialist madness generated by Washington, D.C. Now those chickens have come home to roost, and it didn't take long. Zero Hedge reports, Walmart stocks have nosedived, and it hasn't seen a low like this in 17 years. The stock had fallen by 22%. Walmart as a brand is comparable to heroin. It's incredibly bad for our economy, but the addictive supply is on every corner, and the other pusher just can't compete. The dealers in this market smackdown are the richest family in America, valued at $140 billion, equal to the value of 42% of American families combined.
Walmart is the canary in the coal mine. It's the canary that ate the local businesses, the local industry, that helped shut down our industry. It was the big Chinese Bonanza Mart that helped push all of this. People say, oh, look, Walmart's a snake eating itself. See, no, it's not. What is it, 6 different Walmart heirs, all worth 45, 46, last time I checked, $1 billion a piece? And you can say, hey, folks don't have to shop there. Books have been written on how Walmart manipulated markets, engaged in all sorts of underhanded chicanery. And now the American people, even though the population's growing because of the third world influx, the profits are going down. But at a certain point, that's what it's meant to do. It's a consolidation curve. It's meant to end the free market as we know it. And then Walmart moves on to more multinational operations. They made the deals with China. They set it up. They were successful.
While the Waltons take down America from their multi-million-dollar yachts, they simultaneously pose as the saviors by setting up fake philanthropic foundations and creating a brand that claims to care for American families. They actually couldn't care less. They've donated next to nothing to charity. Comparatively, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have given approximately 30% of their wealth to charity, and those guys are evil. Now, a new report from the globalist machine, the World Bank, projects that 600 million new jobs must be created over the next 10 years, or 5 million a month, just to prevent the situation from getting worse. The majority of the unemployed will be between the ages of 15 to 29 years old. Millennials already make up an average of 40% of the unemployed in the United States. A generation living in poverty during the best years of their lives is a hard way to go. Meanwhile, the homogenized business model of corporatized chains akin to Walmart are gobbling up what once made America great, while blazing a corporocratic trail towards the death of America in their own greedy globalist lifetimes. John Bound for Infowars.com.
This is a protest, and this is a riot. If you can't tell the difference, then you are part of the problem. Infowars.com.